Welcome back. Now, if you want to have a podcast introduction as well as an outro done for your podcast, you can have it done at a site like Fiverr or any freelancing site. And basically what you're going to do when you go to your freelancing site before you start looking is to use the right search term. And you can use the term podcast intro and outro, podcast intro music, or podcast intro song. All of those keywords will give you the right kind of search for you to have a podcast introduction. And with your podcast introduction, you're going to have someone who is going to promote your brand using their voice and then adding in music for you to use repeatedly for your podcast whenever it's going to air. And obviously, when you're using a freelance site, you want to make sure that the individual doing the voiceover as well as the music, that they have good reviews. And once you find a sample that you like, you can hire that individual in order to produce your podcast intro and outro. Of course, if you have your own royalty-free music, you can record your own intro and outro. Typically, you'll want to use the most appropriate music to your particular show. In this case, there is a set of royalty-free music available inside of Camtasia Studio. And in order to use this music, all we need to do is to pick the music that we want. We then need to add that music to the timeline. What we can then do is we can then go to our tools. We can then go to voice narration. We can then start recording, and we will record audio over the music that we're going to be using. So all we do in this case is click this start recording button. We would then start the recording, and then we would be recording our voiceover. We then have a voiceover as well as the music. We would then need to make sure that they are about the same length. We can edit out that content, and we would then have a raw version of our own intro and or outro. Now, this audio would require some kind of editing, and we will review editing in another video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.